The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Gold Group webinar with your host, Willie Miranda.
Good morning, Gold members. Thank you very much for being on today's call and taking the time out of your busy day. Today I'm going to go over some things that I just went over with my company-wide meeting that I had yesterday. But really, a lot of this information I'm going to share with you today is stuff that we've been working on over the last couple of years, and also masterminding last month in Florida. I was able to pick up some great ideas and really some great information from some top quality agents. So I wanted to share some of that with you guys today because I know that we're coming into the spring market now. We have a lot of people that are really looking to take their businesses to the next level. I've seen some of my own staff double some of their production, some of their business by some of the stuff that I'm going to share with you today. And it's just good stuff that sometimes you just got to take a break from being in the business all the time and really start working a little bit on your business. So I'm going to give you a combination of both, working in your business and on your business today. But before I start that, I do want to give you an update on just some of the stuff that's going on with us here at Miranda Real Estate Group. And I guess looking at my screen here, I'll go ahead and just talk about what's going on here at Craig Proctor Productions. The Super Conference is definitely going to be a great event. It always is. There's so many people that I've talked to that are really excited about this upcoming event that's going to be from April 14th through the 17th. So not to confuse people, because I know we have different people on the line today. We have the Platts. So if you're in coaching right now and you're in the Platt program, Platts is going to be 14th, 15th, and 16th. And you want to make every effort that you can to make sure that you're getting to this conference and make sure that you're in that Platt room, because it's going to be some really great stuff. I saw the agenda and it's just going to be awesome. So that's going to be the 14th, 15th, and 16th. For those of you that are in the Gold program, you are more than likely probably invited to the Platts. I'm sure you already have the emails that have been sent to you. But with the with the Gold program, we're going to be having our own little mastermind for Gold on Friday, April 15th from 9 to 3. And it's going to be at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, right at the same hotel where the conference is. And we're going to be in the Commodore Room, second floor, South Tower. Now, over the last, say, 5 or 6 conferences, what I've done with the Gold program is I've taken Gold members basically in a mastermind format to a private room. So it's very intimate. It's in a conference room setting, but really more of like a U-shape or round table discussion. And we just talk about, the successes that you had over the last 12 to 24 months, some of the challenges that you're facing currently in today's market and also in your business. And then I go through a lot of different things that we're doing in our business, really take more of a deeper dive into lead generation, into lead follow-up, conversions, presentations, and I've gotten tons of great feedback from it that, spending those 6 hours, they just felt like it was just a 6-hour coaching call. It was that good. So we will break, obviously, for lunch, and if we have to go beyond 3 and go to 4 or 5, I'm there all night long if need be. So that's going to be on April 15th. So no matter what program if you're in Diamond, if you're in a Platt program, and you'd like to attend that event on Friday, April 15th, at the end of this call, I'm going to have Tricia's information. Just shoot us an email back. Let us know that you want to save a spot so we know that you're going to be attending Friday, April 15th from 9 to 3 in the Gold breakout. And after the 15th, again, if you're not in the Platinum program and you want to stay for the main event, Craig does have the main conference going 15th, 16th, and 17th. So you're welcome to stay there. If you're not a member on the call, because I do have a couple other people that logged in and subscribed to some of the newsletters and stuff that I've been sending out, you can come as my guest for this event on April 15th, the Mastermind event in Anaheim, and I will also be able to get you into the main conference event as a guest for the 16th and 17th, which is loaded with some great information. Craig goes over a lot of great information on that to help you in your business and obviously take a quantum leap as well. So wanted to make sure everyone knew about that. Wanted to make sure if you haven't registered, please do so. You want to make sure you get those room blocks in, and I know that we still have some rooms available at the lower prices for the room block. All right, last Saturday night we had our client event, and I think you guys remember a few weeks back on our last call, I talked about having a client event. And every year we try to do anywhere between 3-4 client events per year, whether it's a pie event that we do in the fall, in the summer, or actually in the beginning, it's in the middle of September, actually. So that's kind of going into the fall months. We do have our golf tournament that we do every year. We've had 10 annual golf events, and we do invite a lot of our family and friends and also clients to that event where they can play golf. They can just come to the dinner. And we raised almost $200,000 for the Children's Hospital. This year, what we wanted to do is we wanted to go a little deeper with our clients, do something a little bit earlier in the year. And here in upstate New York, it's a little bit cold out, and people start getting a little cabin fever up here in upstate New York. So I got this great idea from a good friend of mine, Andy Savalakis, that he's been holding these client events for 4 or 5 years in a comedy setting. And in Albany, we actually had a place called the Comedy Works, so we're able to work an arrangement with them to actually have our event there this past Saturday night. So we invited clients to come out. It was adult only. They came in at 7 o'clock. They had a cocktail hour from 7 to 8. My lender sponsored the appetizers. They each had a drink ticket that they were able to get free, and then after that they had a cash bar. And it was a great event. And I even had the lender sponsor the appetizers as well, and a photographer. So it really didn't cost us that much to do that. It cost us about $20 a head per client to come to the event. And my agents also brought some of their clients as well. So you can just see some of the pictures that are on there. They had a great time. There's, I guess, some booze there that was there, right? So people like the cocktails. The comedians were really, really good. I don't have pictures of them here because once they start that, the photographer had left. But it was really more to deepen a relationship with the client. And sharing some stats with my agents yesterday, still, 68 to 74% of business that realtors claim when they go back into their, last 12 or 24 month closed pendings, they're going to actually see on there that a lot of that business did come from repeat and referral business. And it continues to do that. And I think if you look at your prior sales, or even look at your last 12 months, probably most of you on this call would agree that that's where a majority of your business comes from. So it really helped us deepen a relationship with our clients. They loved it. I picked up a referral that evening, followed it up the next day, and going to be getting a referral from that. But I know that whether you get a referral from it or not, it pays big dividends, and it will definitely pay off in the future. We also passed out here my book to some of the clients that didn't receive a copy, so they like that and getting the book. So it was a great event. I just wanted to share that with you and not take too much time on it, but let you know that was a successful event. And if you're ever thinking about doing a client event, to please reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to help you either with something like this, the pie event, golf tournaments, and there's probably 4 or 5 other ones that you could do as well. All right, so I'm going to jump into today's call, and this is a slide that I've shown many of you many times before. And I always talk about the 2 different types of agents that are out there. I'm talking about transactional agents and career agents. And as you can see here on the screen, transactional agents tend to waste time, have poor spending habits. They don't really have a lot of client loyalty. They're lead squirrels with very low conversion rates because they don't have the follow-up systems in place, and they just want a lot of leads, but they only call them maybe once or twice and then they give up on them. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact, so it's very important that you have a good follow-up system in place. A lot of these transactional agents are ripe and rotten. They don't seek that additional training. They don't come on to webinars like this and really block the time to educate themselves to do better in their business and to be able to provide better services for their clients. And as a result of that, it turns into low profit margins and agent burnout. And I'm going to show you the other one that I'm going to add on to that in a second here. But looking at the other side on career agents, use time efficiently. They know their numbers. They receive a lot of repeat and referral business. They have a systematic database with higher conversion rates. They're green and growing, right? They're always looking for the next best thing, which sometimes is good and sometimes bad. But they're always looking to improve. And I don't care how many times we do training in our office, 3 times a week, and some of the modules and some of the information, we may hit 2 or 3 times the same content over the course of the year, and we still have agents coming back because they always pick up new things, new ideas. Even though some of the same content, it's delivered in a different way, and different examples are out there, and it's helped them grow their business. And those agents are higher profit margins and have a successful business. And those are the agents that I'm interested in having with our company and also coaching as well. But the 2 categories that I really picked up from going out in visiting the different agents is that there's really two other types of agents, those that plan and those that don't plan. And that's what I'm going to add to that actual panel, because what I found is that there's a lot of agents out there that in the beginning of the year, you put some goals together, they may write some stuff down, but then it just gets tossed in the top drawer and they don't look at it again until maybe the end of the year. And they get all excited, and here's my goals, and here's what I'm going to do, and it just disappears. But the ones that really do plan and actually look at their goals on a daily basis and actually measure the numbers that their pro activities on a daily basis, those are the ones that are really successful. And I've seen a lot of agents go from no plan to actually doing a plan and doubling, tripling, quadrupling their business because they stayed focused on the activities that are going to give them that business. So looking at the bell curve here that I'm showing you, this is something that I just, doing some research, just kind of really looking out there to see, what is the transformation of agents. And over the years, just being able to work with agents, work with coaching members, and recently over the last couple of years, I hired a business coach, and we had a lot of good communication on this. He had me do some research and really see, what's the evolution of the agent. And looking at some different stats, I found that over 82% of real estate agents are out of the business in the first year. And talking to some different agents, I see that even in my own company, where when they get that license, right, they're in a startup phase. And this could be any business, not just real estate, but I'm just going to talk to you in real estate lingo right here. But think about, they go to the class, they take all their, they pass all their tests, they get assigned and sponsored by a broker, and they get their business cards, and the next thing they're like, all right, great, I'm ready to go. They'll go to a training or two, and they're all excited, and they just think that the phone's going to ring off the hook, and it doesn't, right? They actually have to work at this business and develop their database and start doing the things that are going to, open houses and newsletters, and invest a lot of their time and money back into it. And it gets discouraging for a lot of agents, especially when they're new like that, because they want to get a check, right? They want to get their license, get their business cards, and hopefully within a few weeks, they're going to get a commission check. And unfortunately, it takes a 60, 90-day process on average. I know some could be a lot sooner than that, but it does take a little bit of time. So, but for those that make it through that first year and get a few deals under their belt, start getting the training that they need, start setting up their bank accounts and their advertising and their marketing and everything, getting all that in place and really getting a lot of good training. These are the ones that are going to jump up into that 18% category and start climbing up the ladder, right? Here's where they go into that actual growth stage. So maybe the first year, on average, I see that some agents in their first year might only do 3 or 4 sales. And then after that, maybe they double it or they stay, somewhere at that 12 to 15 range. And then I see agents that really take off, and I've seen some agents do, 200 deals in their 4th or 5th year in the business. But usually here, about 5 years in or so, okay, this doesn't really, these little lines don't represent years, but as they're growing up into the business, they do get to a point where they get very profitable in their business. They have good systems in place. And let's face it, getting into real estate is a very low entry fee, and that's why there's so many real estate agents that are out there, and does have a very high profit margin if worked correctly. And some of these agents, especially the teams and the ones that are leveraging themselves with assistants, they've been able to really generate some good cash, 30, 40, 50% return off their gross commission income that they're actually taking home if they're running it, efficiently. And they get to a point where they get to this, top of the bell curve here, and they just start feeling comfortable, right? Things start really working for them, and they're making a lot of good money. But then what happens is, I've seen some of these agents cut out training, right? They stop. I don't need to learn that. I already know that. They start doing less lead generation. I had an agent the other day I was talking to that totally cut Zillow out of their whole marketing budget for this year. This was a coaching member. And last year, she had sold like 4 houses from Zillow, and her average sales price was pretty big. And when I looked at it, I said, why would you do that? I mean, the return on investment is huge on that. I know you wanted to get more sales from it. You didn't think 4 was too exciting, but when you look at what you paid for Zillow and what you got out of it, that's just another pillar. That's another line in the water that you have to take advantage of. So she's since put Zillow back in place, and now she's got to kind of revamp that up again and put the drip campaign in place for that. But you don't want to start taking things away that were working for you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And the ones that do, and they stop going to training, and just start not doing the things they should, or not making the phone calls, what happens is their business starts to go down. And that's what we call the fading winners, right? These are the ones that just make excuses that, I don't like Zillow, or I don't like this, and I don't like that. And, a lot of agents, I said yesterday in our meeting, Zillow gets, I don't know, so the last stat I saw said 82 million hits per day, right, from the consumer hitting their website. So Zillow's here, whether we like it or not. We want to be able to get some action from that. And there's, other sources that are out there, Bull Leads and, Realtor.com and other different online sources that you can do. But this fading winner is why I say that, is because they get just really complacent in their business. So it's our job, I guess, as I say from a coaching perspective, is to really identify where they are in the cycle and try to get them to that restructuring phase as soon as possible. And this is going back and sitting with them. And I was talking with an agent this morning, and they were a little bit of a slump, and looking back at their last 24 months, I said, go back and do the things that were working for you. Don't cut them out. And, she had stopped sending out newsletters to her customers. She had stopped making those phone calls and those client visits to them. And it really affected her last quarter. So we're going to restructure that and get back to the things that are working for her. So moving forward on that, I wanted to also mention that you really have to have three different key components here when you're sitting down and planning your business. So for those of you that I asked a question yesterday to my team, who in here owns a business? And everyone raised their hand, which I was glad to see. But I've done that before, and I've had some people raise their hand and some people didn't, and they're real estate agents. And I'd explain to them that you are a CEO of your company, whether you work for a franchise or not. You are the president and CEO of your company, and you have to have these three things in place. And you have to just sit down. I don't care if you have to lock yourself in a library or in a car somewhere parked on the side of a road. Sit down, get a piece of paper out, and really think about these three things. The first one's your vision, right? What does it look like 1, 3, 5, 20 years, and what's your exit strategy down the road? You need to be thinking about that. So whether you're new in a business or whether you've been in the business 30 years, these are things that you need to put in place. Your mission. Why are you in the business? And why are you doing what you're doing, right? There's got to be certain things and reasons why you're doing that, and the mission statement is very important. And then the last piece on here is value. What's most important to you, and what helps you, by having that value and by having the most important thing for yourself, it's going to help you make decisions a lot easier when it comes time to either adding staff or cutting staff or, hiring a certain type of agent or letting a certain agent go. There's certain things that you're going to do, and a lot of those decisions can be made on whether or not they meet your expectations of what your vision, mission, and values are. So at Marina Real Estate Group, I told you before, to have more fun, make more money, and give more back is one of the big things that we really focus on. And some of the pictures on here show us here at the Children's Hospital giving a $30,000 check at our kickoff meeting in January this year, making it over $200,000 now. Our training, we do weekly training 3 times a week, and this is in our training conference room here. This was a mastermind event. Even with coaching members, that's one of the big things that I always push our coaching members to, is to have more fun, make more money, and give more back. This is down in Florida, down at Mike and Cindy Burge's office, and there's some top agents that are in there as well. My family, the big why for me is my family, and giving them things that I wasn't able to get growing up as a kid, and that's why I work so hard. I want to give them the best of everything that I can: education, household, life in general, right? So these are the big things that you have to really ask yourself to answer those questions. And some of the ones that in our office, I did a focus group with a lot of my agents, sat them down, and we went through different things like, what do we represent and what do we want to represent, and how do we want to be perceived out there, in the public. And our vision was right here. That we came up with this, is to assist the best agents in our region build and maintain a successful business within a business, making it a profitable, enjoyable experience to our clients. And that's really what it's all about right there. And we have that posted in our conference room, and we have it on a lot of the material that we have for training. And it's very important that we really stay focused on our vision. The second piece of it is our value. What's the value that we bring to the consumer? And we have our guarantees, and we have our guarantee sale program, we have our cancellation guarantee, but I guess our biggest one is really the operational excellence. And if you think about a stool, right, if you look at a three-legged stool, you have sales and marketing, you have operations, and then you have finances. And those are really the three major components of any business. And you need sales and marketing in order to run the other two pillars. But amongst all three of them, having operational excellence is very important. And that's why we have processes and document pretty much everything that we do, so that our staff here is cross-trained. And if someone's out or sick or whatever the situation may be, the ball doesn't get dropped. And our mission and what our next major milestone, our milestone that we just hit last year, I told you guys, was hitting $1 billion of real estate sales, and we just went over 5,700 sites. But just recently we sat down and put together some, our next big major milestone, and that's over the next 3 years to grow our base of career agents from 50 to 100. So that's where we're headed, and I just wanted to share that with you to give you an idea of what you should be looking at. And if you're a single agent and you don't want to grow a team, that's fine. Then what do you want out of those three components? And write them down and go for it. And this is just a quick picture of our conference room showing you, again, it's in our face at all times, and the agents see it, the customers see it, and it's just great to, great that it wasn't something that I just came up with. It was something that myself and my team came up with. So let's jump into the top 5 things that you really need to have to really take your business to the next level. And the first one is that, and I kind of mentioned this already, but you need to identify what already works in your business. So go back 12, 24 months and just start classifying things. I talked to an agent when I was down in Florida, and he said to me that 100% of his business comes from referrals. And I said, really? I said, you don't do, anything else? You don't do, well, yeah, I have Zillow, and, we do some open house and stuff like that. I said, well, why do you do them? If 100% of your business comes from referrals, then why do you do those other things if you're not getting any business from it? So after talking with him and going through things, and I think he had like 36 sales, there was probably 12 sales that came from other places, such as open houses and the internet and sign calls. So don't fall in love with the fact that 100% of your business by referral, because that's probably not true. And if it is, great for you, but then you're not doing enough business. You need to have the referral business, but you also need that new blood coming in, setting out flyers and postcards and all the different things that Craig talks about in the Quantum Leap system. You need to put those things in place to drive business in. So again, Zillow, open houses, etc. But look, and then once you find that, once you identify, let's say it is referrals, right? Let's say it's Zillow, whatever the case may be. But let's just let's take and say it's Zillow, like that one example. Then go deeper, right? Look for ways to go deeper. Maybe put more of an ad spend so you're getting more leads in. Or put a better follow-up system in place. How can you go deeper with those people? Maybe you set them up that every Zillow lead that you get, they get a video email from you, and kind of click it from there. Put them on a different type of a drip campaign. But you need to identify really what's working for you, and the only way to do that is to track everything that you're doing and finding out exactly where that lead's coming from. Number 2, identify where you should be growing as far as lead generation, and you really need to ask yourself this question is, what are you really good at, right? What do you really love about the real estate business, and what do you really like doing? And I always tell agents that there's 4 things that really make you money in this business, and that's listing homes, working with buyers, negotiations, right, and prospecting, right? So those 4 things is where you really make the big bucks. That's more of a rainmaker activity. Everything else should be delegated to an assistant of some type, and really focusing on those 4 things is what's going to really make it the $200, $300, $400, $500 an hour type work. But looking at most agents and doing some of the research, most agents only have anywhere between 1 to 3 pillars that they're getting business from. And when I say pillars, I'm talking about lead generation pillars. And and most of the time it's just their friends and family and some people that they know, and hope that's the phone rings, or maybe it's some agents that work at big companies, they have floor time, and I don't think they really that's happening at a lot of places, because I know that the phone calls coming in have died down a lot. But what are those pillars? And if they do have one or three pillars, a lot of times I find that they're not doing them consistently, right? They're doing one postcard mailing, and then they might do another one 6 months later. They maybe have a database, but they don't really feed it consistently with a newsletter, or any type of correspondence, or phone calls that they give out to them. And a lot of times what these agents are, what I call, is dabblers, right? They're just kind of dabbling at this, dabbling at that, trying a couple different things, and not really giving it the time that it needs to work, so that it's going to benefit them and give them a much larger return on investment. So don't be a dabbler. Don't only have a couple different lead generation pillars that you occasionally do or don't have consistency with. Go to the next two categories here, which is good agents, right? They have about 4 to 6 pillars in on average, and it's kind of like fishing, right? If you think about, I was given the analogy yesterday of fishing, and if you're a regular agent, like most agents, they have 1 line in the water, 2 lines, maybe 3 at best. But the good agents, they have 4 to 6 lines in the water, right? Because they know where the prospects are. Just like when you're fishing, if you knew where the fish were in that part of the lake, why not just throw 4 or 5 lines out there? You're going to do much better, get a lot more prospects, make a lot more sales by doing that, versus only having a couple pillars that you're working with. And then the last piece is that they're very good agents, the agents that are just knocking the cover off the ball. These are agents that are doing 50, 60, 80, 100 sales a year plus. These are the ones that know the importance of lead generation. And lead generation is really the business that we're in. We're not in the real estate business. We're really in the lead generation business. And the more leads that you have, the more swings at the plate you have, the more successful you're going to be. So the very good agents are doing 10 or more. And to give you some examples of that, actually you can, if you want to get a free chapter of my book, you can go to the realestatebusinessbook.com. Again, that's the realestatebusinessbook.com, and you can download a free chapter of my book by just going there, free of charge. Or you can purchase my book, just go to amazon.com and get your own copy there. But in that, it happens to be that first chapter, because it's so important. The first chapter was lead generation. And in there I talk about having a minimum of 4 lead generation pillars from your database, online, offline, and geographic farming. These are the things that if you could just set up these 4 pillars and what I talk about in this chapter, you'd be off to a good start. So sample of some of the different pillars. Past clients is always a great source. We call it Market Leader in our office, but we also have Commissions Inc. Some of you have Boomtown. Some of the different lead generation systems out there for buyers are very good, and there's a dozen of them out there, but we use Market Leader and Commissions Inc. in our office. Your center of influence, right? That's very important to make sure you're going after those people, and they might be people that haven't even bought from you, but you know that they're great advocates for you, and they would refer you business if they knew someone that was looking to buy or sell. Geographic farming, every agent should do that. Why should you come home, pull up on your street and see a sign from another company out there? Start farming your area, start farming where you live, and if there's a high enough turnover, you definitely want to go after that. But geographic farming is one that we talk about a lot in my book, and I really push that tremendously. And a lot of the big agents that I talk to, successful agents, know the importance of owning a certain territory, a certain area, and geographic farming is huge. Open houses, I would say probably more of a mega open house. The traditional open houses really don't work. Showing up there 15 minutes before an open house and hoping that someone will come in and buy it is not the best way to do it. But actually doing a mega open house is where you actually just really market it like a huge event, right? You start marketing this thing on Wednesday. You got 20, 30 open house signs out there. You're inviting neighbors to the open house. You're blasting it on Facebook. You're putting it in a newspaper. Just make it a huge event, and those can be very effective for you. Direct mail postcards, newsletters, just listed and just sold cards. We use them very effectively, and a lot of my coaching members use them as well. And here's just a sample of them. for those of you that have seen or haven't seen them, but you want to make sure you have a call to action. So just listed, here happens to be a couple of properties that were just listed that we had in this postcard. Obviously it has my information on it, but you want to have that direct call to action and dive in. Like, instead of just say find out what your home is worth, I put on there forest, because that's the development and the geographic farm that I'm working, and I tie it into that. And they're just sold. Again, same thing. You put the pictures on there. If it was in 4 days, 10 days, whatever, 97, 98% of asking price, whatever you want to do using stats or number of days you put on there. But again, here's the call to action, right? Tying it in there. This is in Clifton Park, and I tied in the zip code into the actual URL. Copy of my newsletter up here. We send that out on a monthly basis. People love it. It's funny, at the client event that we had, my wife was there with me, and I introduced her to a couple of my clients, and they already knew who she was, right? They were like, oh yeah, we get your newsletter, and we love your recipes, and I got chatting. It was kind of like instant, like they knew each other already, right? And so it was great to see, and I told my wife it was definitely worth her doing these inserts for us every month into our newsletter. This is an endorsement letter, hitting those neighborhoods. I actually had a client in a neighborhood. I asked her for a testimonial, right? I was just looking for a little testimonial to send out. She actually sent a whole letter, like, to the neighbors, that here's what they did. We answered a postcard. He came over. He did, gave us great professional advice. It was great working with him throughout the whole process, right on to the end. That this is something that I would highly recommend using Miranda Real Estate Group. So this is a huge testimonial. We're sending this out again in the neighborhood. It's going out to about 300 people next week with my brochure, which you see here, with my USP of the Guarantee Sale Program. So these are the types of things that are going to bring you in new blood into your database, and you need to be doing this type of stuff in order to get business. So that's just a sample pillar from there. But some other pillars that you want to look at, expireds, FSBOs, right? That's still low-hanging fruit, and even going after some of the expireds. Kristen Stampini down in, she's in Fort Lauderdale. She goes after 6 months, 12 months, and I think goes even back as far as 18 months on expired listings. No other agents are working them, and a lot of these people maybe took it off the market for whatever reason, but they're thinking about putting it back on the market. So she just basically says, hey, sales prices are up, and I see that your house didn't sell before. But good news, sales prices went up, and I have buyers. If you're interested in selling your home, I'm sure we can get you top dollar for your property. And reaching out to those expireds that way, but also going after the FSBOs. Zillow, this MMM is Make Me Move. That's another way to go on Zillow and click on where it says for buyers, and unclick everything else and click on what says Make Me Move, and you can actually see people and sellers that are not on the market. Some of them are not even for sale by owners, but they went on Zillow because they know that in the next year maybe, or next 6 months, I may be looking to put it on the market. But before I do that, I'm just going to throw it on Zillow here, put all my information in, upload all my photos, and if I can get X for my house, then I'll move. And so what you'll see in there is overpriced listings, right? Because people put crazy numbers in there. I had one guy, saw he was like $100,000 over what his market value should be. But the point is that it gets you conversations. Not a lot of agents are hitting those, and you want to go after some of those. I already told you 82 million hits a day on Zillow, so you definitely want to take advantage of that. And you want to put together, social proof. Get loads of testimonials, as many testimonials that you can get. And for all these type Zillow leads, drip them on. That's a great drip campaign that you can do, is just giving them testimonials and letting people know. And all the testimonials that you put on Zillow, how great it was working with your company, what a great job you did. And any sale that you do, obviously make sure it's a positive experience that they had, but you definitely want to get those Zillow reviews and get that social proof going. All right, so moving right along, business contacts, working with vendors, working with people in your community. Facebook is something that we've been using a little bit more over the last year, doing targeted posts, boosting a lot of the posts, and getting them out there. And I'll show you an example, like when we have open houses, or we're looking for a buyer or anything like that, we'll go ahead and post that. And some of you may say, well, this is great and good stuff here, but I'm not really good at doing flyers or newsletters or, postcards and all this other stuff, just not really good at it. And what happens is you just don't do anything about it. And it's unfortunate. I see agents that just kind of throw their hands up. Look for a marketing assistant. Get a college kid, someone, maybe 2, 3 year, 20, 21-year-old college student. They know how to do all this stuff. Tell them what you want. Take copies of the sample slides that I have here, and they'll make it and get it out for you. And you could probably pay them, 12, 15 bucks an hour to do it, and it's going to be money definitely well spent. Here's just some different examples too that you can send out. Sending out, for sale by owner. This is the free report that you can give to FSBOs. So again, going out to these and looking at the FSBOs, Craig has us run ads or run different editorials. You can do that, but if you know a FSBO's in your area and you want to kind of, beat the punch to it, send them something like this, but maybe send them something like, here's a free report, but if you'd like to get a, what the value of your home is, give us a call or go to this website, drive them, have a call to action so that you're getting their information. Here's our link here at Miranda Real Estate Group, sending people to a link for open houses. And we use that, we target it, we send it out, and we get a lot of hits, a lot of people coming to the open house. Here's some information I already talked about with Make Me Move, with Zillow, and what it does and what it's for. Business directory. If you want to take a look at my business directory online, go to williemiranda.com. In the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see, I think it's like maroon, a little box says business directory. Click on there, and you can go on there and play around with it. So if you want to have an online version, this is what I have, but most people have just an Excel sheet with a bunch of vendors and give those out to their actual clients at closings and also when they meet with them on a buyer listing presentation. All right, and this is just a little sheet, little tear sheet that we had. Why didn't my house sell? This is more for expireds, and we drive them to give them this free report. All right, so number 3, know your daily numbers. Now we're getting into some good stuff here because this is really where the rubber meets the road. And this is when I'm talking to agents, and I see some of the newer agents, they just don't know what they're doing. But even experienced agents, some agents just get unfocused, and they need to get back on track. And it's very important that you know your daily numbers. And the agents that do it very well are very successful with it. And on average, looking at different things, sometimes I'll see 25, sometimes I see you need 100 leads to get 1 sale, et cetera, et cetera. But pretty much what I've seen out there, and this has been pretty consistent for us, is that you need to have 40 conversations to close 1 sale, right? So that's conversations. That's not an email. That's not a text. It's 40 conversations that you're having with them, and it's very important that you're using the right scripts, asking the right questions, finding out, hey, I see here that you're a for sale by owner, and that's great. How's that been going for you? And if it doesn't sell for sale by owner, what's plan B, right? Or if you're looking, you have a home that's on the market, or if you're meeting with someone that was an expired listing and they're, they want to list their house at say, $500,000, but it's probably worth only $450. Conversation you want to have with them and say, hey, I can appreciate the fact that you want this. You just told me your motivation was very high and you wanted it to move within the next 3 months, but your sales price doesn't match your motivation. Looking at it. We need to get a little bit more realistic and being able to talk with them to get those price reductions, because every home would sell, just got to be at the right price. So 40 conversations to 1 closed sale. So if you were looking, if you're an agent and you say, hey, you know what, this year I want to do, I just threw an example up here, 36 sales. That means that I have to have, for every sale I got to have 40 conversations. So that's 1,440 conversations that you have to have throughout the year in order to get those 36 sales. Now, maybe it'd be less, maybe it'd be more, but again, this is just an average of what your focus should be, and you need to have a daily number that you're shooting for. And I put on here 10 months because, let's face it, agents don't work, 12 months out of the year. You have vacations and holidays and that type of stuff. But so if we just broke it down, and if you did that in 10 months, that'd be 144 conversations each and every month. That's 24 days, usually work days in a month if you're working, Monday through Saturday, taking 1 day off. So that's 6 conversations per day. It's not that hard. Looking at the 1440 looks like a huge number, but if you look at this number here, 6 a day, There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that. And how you're going to do that is by, breaking it down. So like yesterday, I told my team, I said, a great way to do that is just to pick, 2 of your best past clients or, center of influence in your list, in your database, and give them a call. Have a check-in call with them. Send them a, a free annual home report on what their home is worth. Ask them if they know of anyone else that would like that same report sent to them, and ask them if they know of anyone looking to buy or sell. And that's something that, more and more agents need to keep doing, because I think what happens a lot of times as transactional agents, they just kind of, sell their house, go to the closing, and then 8-10 years passes, and they just assume that those people will call them when they're ready to list their home or buy a home, and that's just not the case. The other 2 calls can be on new leads, right? You get Zillow leads, you get internet leads, different leads that you might get off a postcard campaign. Obviously, if you're getting 3 or 4 new leads a day, then you want to call all of them. But I'm just kind of giving you some different examples there. Most people that are doing some type of lead generation on a consistent basis are getting a few leads a day. So 2 COI, 2 new leads, and then the last one would be, calling up and doing follow-up leads. So, maybe you did an open house and you had 19 people that showed up, and, maybe there's some follow-up on there. Maybe there's someone that you went on a listing appointment, a month ago that you need to follow up with to see if they're ready to list yet. But you have to have 6 conversations per day. And down here it says words matter, and it's very important that you're role-playing, and using scripts and dialogues to make sure that you're always focused on asking for the business or asking for the lead. Number 4, track and measure everything. So, looking at, the different client or face-to-face appointments that you have, or actually I say client visits in that category. Leads, how many leads are you generating on a daily basis, right? So for those of you that have, Zillow and Bowl Leads and all these other places that you're spending money on, you should be tracking that on a daily basis, how many leads you're getting, so you can actually track and start trending, this month I got this month I got that. So later, if let's say another year from now, you can go back and know what to expect, because usually trends follow themselves, right? So when the busier months are, the spring markets, the fall markets, maybe summer dips down a little bit. Whatever the situation may be, you want to be able to track that. So leads, appointments, calls, notes, sending out personal notes, finding out what your days on market are, always knowing your stats, your list to sales ratio, your average sales price. These are all things that you should be looking at and tracking and measuring each and every day. On here I mentioned about a daily action checklist. Being down in Florida with a couple agents that have their own little checklist, but I asked them, I said, how do you stay focused on a day-to-day basis? Got all these different things going on. What do you do? And this one girl, Karen, that I was talking to said, well, I have all these different things that I write down, and I think it was by 6 or 7 different things that she kept track of as far as like number of calls she does, number of notes that she does, client visits, those type of things, and follow-up calls, and she just has them all down on a sheet of paper, on a grid. And she said, if I can just do, 80-85% of what's on there, she goes, I know I'm going to be successful. But the days that I'm just say to my, and I'm just so busy and I don't look at my sheet at the end of the day and there's nothing checked off, that I'm in trouble. The next day I got to make up for it. And she has, daily goals and also weekly goals. And one of my agents, Brenda Mayat, I'm going to pull up her sheet here. This is her actual sheet that she used, and she shared it with our agents. And I'm going to give you a link called Live with the Leaders. Actually, I'll click on this in a second. You can go on there and actually see a webinar that I did with Brenda going over exactly how she uses this. But take a look at it on there. Every day, Monday through Sunday, she has a day off, she'll cross it off, but personal notes, telephone calls, client visits, showings, the number of items that she sends out to her farm, buyer appointments, seller appointments, Facebook posts, active rain blogs, and then tracking her deal pendings and closed. And she just keeps track of that, right? And every day just kind of puts a little number symbol in there. She has goals that are set up for the week, and that's how she measures it. And like I said before, if you go to livewiththeleaders.com, you can actually sign on there and click on to the webinar that I did with Brenda. And I'll show you that after the call on how to get to that. And then this is her daily to-do list. Actually, this is my daily to-do list where I've showed you guys this before, having a plan, having your top priorities for the day, making sure your schedule's there, blocking time to work on your business, and then some other things that you have here so that you're staying focused on what needs to be done. Here's in Commissions Inc., our appointments and making sure we put our notes and our follow-ups. Very important to have a database and a CRM that you're using. So if Commissions Inc. is not what you're using, you need to find Top Producer or Wise Agent, but find something that you could put all your contacts into and that has the follow-up feature in it so that you're constantly following up with these people and converting more of those leads into appointments. This is just something as far as our numbers. I mentioned to you before, watching our numbers and setting up goals, and this is the business review, just came out last week in a newspaper for 2015. I think we have, I don't know, close to 300 or 350 brokers in our MLS. I think we have about 3,000 agents in upstate New York in the Capital District. But the rankings came out, and we finished number 5, giving us the top position for independent company. So we're the number 1 independent agent here in the Capital District. 127,057,000 was the actual volume that we had in 2015. That was a 23% increase over prior year. We sold over 600 homes, and our average sales price was about $211. So kind of in the average of what everyone else is in here, but we have different communities that we service that have lower price ranges too. But we don't want to discriminate. Obviously, if we're referred in or we're involved in certain areas, we want to make sure that we can get all the business that we can, and that's giving us and that's doing that business with about 75 agents at our company. So proud of that number and proud of the increase that we have, and a lot of it's just focusing on the numbers and just keeping up on a daily basis. And last year, we had a tough year last year. We converted our office last year, so our office was shut down for 6 months. We were working out of cubicles and temporary space, and it was definitely a challenge, but we got through it, and I'm glad to see that we had that huge of an increase with all those different distractions. Okay, so the last one on here is setting a goal for profit. And setting a goal for profit is something that I think is probably the most important, because we're all in a business to make money, I would think. You're not in here for charity. You're not doing it because you just like it and don't care if you get paid or not. And you're not in it to lose money. You're in it to make a profit. And like I mentioned before, real estate is a great business to do that with. And when I look at different people that I went to high school with, and different people that I know went on and had great careers as attorneys and doctors, I see a lot of agents, and I've over the years as well, I've seen my income increase to the point where it's exceeded dramatically over what some of these guys are and gals are making that went to school for 6-8 years. And I don't know any other business. I mean, I'm being a little biased because I love the real estate business, but I own an insurance business too, and I really love the real estate business more. But you can make a lot of money in this business, and when they say the sky's the limit, it really is. But what they don't tell you is that there's also no floor. So you have to be doing and being really focused and structured, and don't have the employee mindset like a lot of agents do, unfortunately. You need to have the entrepreneur, that CEO mindset, when really setting your goals and setting your business up properly. So setting a goal for profit really just starts with setting that budget and making sure that you're investing back into your business, and you're setting certain key systems in place for managing that money as well. So you're going to have money that goes to the household, you're going to have money that goes to taxes, you're going to have other money that's obviously going to be profit to reinvest back. But a few months back, I had shared with you guys this grid here that I came up with, where it really showed where that commission actually goes. Like when you get that $10,000 commission check, you don't just stick it in your home account and just spend it, I hope, right? There's a lot of things that you need to make sure that you're setting up correctly. And this little grid here has worked great for me over the years, and this is how I shared once upon a time the story that with my accountant, where I wasn't setting up the right taxes and the estimates, and I remember 2 days before the taxes were due, he called me up and said, "Hey, great year, hope you saved some money." I think I owed him like $75,000, right, within 2 days. So it's fortunate I have the money in reserves and had to kind of scramble around to get it so I can pay it. But the point is that that would have never have happened if I had this set up back then. So since then, I made a commitment that that would never happen. And when that commission check comes in, it goes into the business account, but we set 25 to 30% aside for taxes. I save, money for the business expenses. So we want to make sure that we're paying the business expenses with the rest of it. And then we want to build a 3 to 6 month reserve. So, if it costs you, I'm just, making up a number, $10,000 a month to run your business, then you want to make sure you have $30,000 to $60,000 set aside. And at first, when I first started, I didn't have $30,000 or $60,000 to put aside. So I had to have a credit line, right? I ended up getting a credit line first on a credit card, was my credit line. And then after that, I ended up, going to the bank, and they gave me a $100,000 credit line, and I used that, and then that bumped up over the years. But I'm fortunate to say that over the last 7 or 8 years, I haven't had to use a credit line because I built up my own reserves this way. Instead of spending everything that comes in, we built up a reserve, and we have tapped into that, with the fluctuations of the market. But it was because of this setup. And then after that, you're going to pay yourself a salary here, right? Whatever that salary may be, and that's what you're going to go into your personal checking account. And from that, you want to apply this 70-10-10-10 rule. I got this from Jim Rohn many, many years ago, and it works great. Live on 70% of your paycheck. Don't overspend. Don't live, outside of your means. If you can live on 70% of your paycheck, then you could put 10% into a long-term account, right? I call that a put and keep account. It could be a retirement account or things that you're saving for long-term. 10% goes in a put and take account. This is where you might vacation money, or maybe you want to get a new car, whatever the situation may be. Put and take account could be for many different things, but there's 10% there. And then the 10% could be just for having fun. Some people give it back to charity or to church or whatever you want to do. I happen to, put that 10% away, and we're able to have great trips and be able to do certain things that, you want to splurge on and have a good time, and we can do that by going into that account. So that's kind of the breakdown of how that is, and those are the 5 steps that I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and I'm hoping that you found that information to be of help. So if you have a question, or if you have any comments that you'd like to say, please by all means go ahead and do so now. Just go ahead and type them in there, and I'll make sure that I'll be able to answer that for you. So I think I have one question that's on here that I see so far. Willie, has Zillow changed recently from buying zip codes to something new? I don't know exactly. I mean, they do change a lot. I heard that you don't have to just buy zip codes. You can buy into just being a premier agent on their site, and I know that they have different programs that they have. So I would recommend that you just go directly through them, Ernest, and just call them directly. And I'm sure their salespeople are pretty good, because they call me pretty much every other week with new zip codes that are opening, and they're pretty persistent. So you may want to give them a call directly. All right, so while I'm waiting for some questions, you go ahead and type that in there. Again, April 15th, Mastermind for Gold members, or anyone else that's on this call. I'd love to have you there. If you want to be part of that, please go ahead and email my assistant Trish. You can reach her at tlaux@mrgteam.com. Just shoot her an email and say, hey, I'm interested in coming to the event, what do I need to do, and we'll set up a quick call, or we'll give you some information to go with. But this is less than a month away, so if you're interested and you can make it, fits into your schedule, we want to definitely get you out there. Make sure you RSVP right away. If you're a current coaching member, hopefully you've already registered, and if you haven't, better get that done quickly, because we don't want you to miss out on those room blocks and also the great material that you're going to get at that event. So let me see if I can just switch over real quick. What did I want to show you? Oh, I wanted to show you this Live with the Leaders. So if you go to livewiththeleaders.com, right, so livewiththeleaders.com, this was the actual webinar that I did with Brenda Mayette, and she goes over, it's only about 30 minutes, but she'll go over her annual production activity sheet. She has her own daily to-do sheet that she uses, her daily stat sheet that I shared with you already, and also her yearly goals and how she sets those up. So she did a great job on it. We got a lot of great feedback, and I don't think I've shared this with a lot of you on the call today, so I thought I'd bring it up to you, being that it's so important and being one of those major steps of tracking your numbers on a daily basis. So you can only improve upon what you know. And if you don't know what your numbers are, how are you going to improve upon them? So it's very important for you to have that set up and in place. So I think that's pretty much it. I think we're pretty much out of time at the top of the hour. Andrea, do you see any other questions on your end? I don't see any on my end.
I don't see any. I don't see any at all.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, thank you guys very much for being on today's call. And again, T. Laux at mrgteam.com for any questions that you may have. I will send out a replay link for those of you that might have come on late. Just shoot Trish an email, and we'll get that link out to you when we get it in the next 24 to 48 hours. So with that, have a great night, have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Take care.